Hello, boys and girls. You're listening and watching Peter Talks Smackdown. I'm Peter, one half of the podcast champions of the world. Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. How you doing? We just had a Smackdown from the CajunDome in New Orleans, and I will surprisingly say that this was a shit ton better than Raw in New Orleans. I mean, like a shit ton. Now, my only question is this. They had it in New Orleans Monday, and then today they were like, well, we're at the CajunDome. Now, is it just a matter of context? Did they do the CajunDome in New Orleans and just said it was New Orleans, and then on SmackDown they did it in the same building, which was possibly the CajunDome, and just said, okay, we're in the CajunDome this time? If they did it that way, that's kind of silly, right? Well, anyway, check me out, man. We're trying to get some more subscribers to the YouTube page. We're trying to get some more subscribers to the SoundCloud page. We're trying to get some more subscribers to those who use Tumblr, to the Tumblr page, and if you use Stitcher Radio. So what you need to do is go to pjtwcentral.com. That's pjtwcentral.com, and you will see below where you can see the options to either listen or watch Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, along with other things like Peter Talks Smackdown, the New Day podcast, Peter Talks Wrestling with interviews, all these things. You have all these options, and you also have an RSS feed. So if you're watching on YouTube, click that subscription button there. Thumbs up, share, all that stuff. And do the same with all the other ways to be able to listen to Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling content. I mean, it's not like I'm begging or anything. I'm just kind of asking nicely to motherfucking do it. All right. So, anything else? Yeah. You can find me on the social medias. Ellen Japanese. That's LINJAPANESE. You can find that on Snapchat. You can find that on Twitter. You can find that on Instagram. And plus, the SoundCloud account is under that name. Again, that's LINJAPANESE. Then we have PJTW Central, which is my exclusive wrestling Twitter account. And follow any of those. I do live tweets. I mean, I'm not like annoying on it. I try to get on it every once in a while. I try to do live tweets of like Raw and pay-per-views and stuff like that. But I'm not like someone who's like all over it, just tweeting at least 50 things a day or an hour. I can't do it. I don't love social media that much, but I do love it. And if there's anything else, oh shit. Okay, I have to say this because this is probably the biggest wrestling news there is, and that is the death of Dusty Rhodes. I think it was a housing accident. I think he fell. He took his final bump and wasn't able to kick out. And it's sad because I think he had more life. I think what he was doing with creative was decent. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Dusty Rhodes creative, but I was a big fan of Dusty Rhodes, the worker. And growing up, he was probably, I mean, I have my favorites, but like as a child, before in my teens, Dusty Rhodes, I always look forward to seeing a Dusty Rhodes match. It was just something about him. You see all these big guys with the big muscles and stuff. And I imagine everyone will probably say the same thing. You in a world of like Hulk Hogan and Lex Luger and like Sting and all these Macho Man, it's just all these big guys. He was a Magna TA, Nikita Koloff. He was able to be like a guy that was out of shape, so to speak, and he was able to hold his own. My aunt Sis, uh, she died. She died like maybe 10 years ago. That was her favorite wrestler, and I became a fan of Dusty Rhodes because of her fanship. I mean, even before the polka dots, when he was with the Crockett and Mid Atlantic, it was just fun. He always gave a stellar performance. Now, again, as a kid, it's not like I can be like, well, his matches with this guy, his matches with that guy. But I can definitely say I remember matches with Dusty Rhodes. And I do remember the steel cage match in Greensboro. I remember that being aired and being as a kid and the Dusty finish and all of that stuff and just being like, this guy, I want him to win so bad every time. You know, he dropped the elbow, he had charisma, he had everything. He was literally, in terms of baby faces, the total package. And the way he spoke and his valet, it's just, and then he spawned off two kids, Dustin, who is my favorite wrestler between Dustin Rhodes, Goldust, Booker T, and Diamond Dallas Page. Like, he was able to spawn that amazing wrestler as well as Cody Rhodes, who I really enjoy in the ring. So, I mean, it's very tragic. I wish it would have been a more natural death than, say, an accident at the house. That's where most accidents happen. That's where most deaths occur, like accidents at the house. It just sucks. And I wonder how his boys are doing. I wonder how people like Ric Flair are doing. The Terry Funk, you know. I wonder how guys who have been around him the majority of his life are feeling right now. And to his family and to his friends and to his workmates, co-workers, I send my condolences, big condolences. R.I.P. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Just go and listen to the Hard Times. You want Dusty Rhodes in a nutshell. One of my favorite promos, and I think it's probably everyone else's because it's so legendary. The Hard Times promo he cut on Ric Flair. It's amazing, and I don't know. And I feel like the wrestling world, the world of wrestling, is going to go through hard times right now. Because the Grim Reaper has taken Dusty Rhodes away from us. So, with that said, let's go into the Smackdown. Again, out of the CajunDome, it starts off with Dean Ambrose. And you hear his music, he enters through the crowd, he has his nice little strut, he has the belt, he looks good with the belt. It's funny how he's not the champion, but he looks like the champion. And I think I was listening to some podcast, maybe Cheap Heat or something. They were talking about like WWE now has a chance to see how he actually look with the hardware without actually having to give it to him. And in last week's, I was talking about that. Very fresh. Again, a very fresh look of a champion. Very, very, very fresh. In comparison to, say, what's happening in the NBA Finals, Golden State versus Cleveland. Not to bring that up again, but I think it's one of the best comparisons I have in terms of, you go years and years with the same 5 guys, same 5 teams in the finals, whether it was the Heat, whether it's the Mavericks, whether it's Boston or the Lakers, San Antonio. Now it's Cena, Rock, CM Punk, what is it, Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio. Just it hasn't gone past like 3 or 4 guys, Daniel Bryan, over the past couple of years, and to see Dean with it, it's just refreshing, and I'll leave it at that. He talks about his New Orleans experience, and he shows the pictures of Instagram, and it's like, really. Oh yeah, I'm running around with the belt, and all we got are these fucking Instagram photos. Stop dropping the ball on how crazy this motherfucker is, and how random he is, and just take a camera with him. Just videotape some shit, like maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Let's see him partying, like doing anything, whether it's partying on Bourbon Street or like riding the subway, going to the fucking post office, go to the fucking grocery store. Him, imagine Dean Ambrose at the grocery store checking out, I don't know, like a whole bunch of fucking like random shit, like a bunch of beef jerky or something. And that would be a great plug for like whatever Slim Jims or what have you. Just a shit ton, whatever. But he basically shoots on. He reminds us what happens on Raw, and then he shoots on Seth Rollins, and I'm gonna win the belt. Seth Rollins comes out, he's pissed, and he's talking to him about, you give my goddamn belt back, whatever. Ambrose is like, chill, dude, it's okay. If I didn't know you're gonna be that mad. He drops the belt, he walks out the ring. Seth Rollins grabs the belt, and then he's like, oh, sorry, that's not actually the real belt. That's kind of I think that's a fake belt. I don't know between now and say what happened since Monday. I don't know what the fuck the belt is, but that's a duplicate belt, and sorry, dude. And then Kane comes out, and he brings up the fact that he lost to J&J, and tells him if he loses in the Money in the Bank, and by the way, this is the Money in the Bank Smackdown Go Home show. Again, that's better than the Raw Go Home show. If you lose your ladder match against Dean Ambrose, then all the support, you don't need our help now, but all the support of the Authority moving forward is ixnay. No more. You stand alone. I don't know if I believe it or not. If you're gonna do that, again, you run the risk of turning Rollins into a babyface, and I think that's stupid. It's so stupid. And he sets a match with Dolph Ziggler. Kane does. And then next up is Miz versus Ryback. This is a rematch, basically, of a match that never happened, because this was, I think, last week. The Big Show interrupts with a big fist to the face to the Miz, and they just gotta get him in there with the Miz for some reason. Out of all the people that are like, I guess, mid card, they just have to have the Miz. Well, anyway, Miz. I don't know if you keep up with the Miz, and I've always kind of been a fan of the Miz because he's probably the purest heel on the WWE main roster there probably is. And now with this Hollywood gimmick, even more so the Hollywood gimmick, and he's become just an essential heel, like more than Barrett, more than Big Show, more than basically any and everybody, more than Rollins, hell, even more than Kevin Owens. This guy is a bona fide heel. And if you don't pick up on this in his matches, especially like if you remember his matches with John Cena, like the guy gets a whole shit ton of offense in. He gets a shit ton of offense in. And this what happens in this. I guess whatever rib injury that he suffered, Ryback, facing Bray Wyatt, I guess there's no more. I guess that son bitch healed up quick. Maybe some deer antler, some shit. But he healed up, and that's not even a concern any longer. So there's no more ribs to work. But nevertheless, the Miz, he applies the figure four. He gets his skull crushing finale in there. And it's surprisingly, what you think about it, surprisingly a good match. And you look at the Miz stature, you look at a guy like Ryback, disposition of belief. It's like, it's hard to believe that Miz could actually get that much offense on such a big dude. But he gets it, and Ryback plays the baby face, and he gets his ass tossed around. Other than, some spots in there, but he gets his ass handed to him basically the entire match until Miz, he's about to do his, when he jumps and clotheslines into the ropes. I don't even know what the fuck that's called. If you know, let me know. I think I remember the name, but for some reason it eludes me. And rather than to get that move in, Ryback comes to his senses and hits him with a meat hook and hits him with a shell shock, and then gets the pin. Big Show comes out after the match, and he acts like he's going to go to the ring, but he doesn't. And which, again, is setting up for the Money in the Bank match for the IC championship. Again, I have Big Show in my predictions. Go back and watch the predictions. It's also in video format from last week, from last Wednesday, Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, episode 42, part 2. My prediction is that the Big Show is going to win. I say Big Show is going to win because the payoff in itself is to see Ryback actually put the Big Show in shell shock. But they blew that load on Raw, and it pissed me off. It pissed a lot of people off. I thought it was just me. But it's like, oh yeah, he has no chance. The payoff is to see him drop him in a shell shock. That's out of the picture. Why even watch the match? I have no interest in the match. But I do see Big Show winning and possibly moving on to a Neville Big Show SummerSlam feud, which I think would be awesome for Neville if he held on to that Intercontinental belt. Poor Ryback, maybe you need to move him up to maybe for the WWE Heavyweight Championship at some point. But right now, he's just in such limbo. This IC belt is not doing him any favors. May as well put it on someone that you want to have on it. He got the belt last minute in the IC chamber match. So yeah, maybe he's just a transition to Neville at some point after Big Show takes it off of him. All right, so we get King Barrett versus Jack Swagger. Yay, Jack Swagger! Where the fuck has he been? Jack Swagger, hey, buddy! Where the fuck you been, Jack? You been on Superstars or something? I don't know. You been on NXT? You would think. This guy, since the since the Real Americans and his feud with Rusev, this dude has been like just nowhere to be found. And then lo and behold, after weeks and weeks and weeks of not seeing this guy, not taking part in anything. I think the last time I saw him was in the Battle Royal, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at WrestleMania. That was like the last time we seen him. Other than that, he's been MIA on a fucking milk carton. But he's showing up to do the job to King Barrett. R-Truth is on commentary, and which is setting up their match at Money in the Bank. It's the pre-show match. He's pretty funny. Again, I really don't like the R-Truth shucking and jiving jigaboo minstrel show gimmick that R-Truth has, but he's been funny. His almost promo on Raw saying that he was in the thinking that he was in the Money in the Bank ladder match was pretty hilarious. And then he's on commentary. He calls Saxton Coach, as in Jonathan Coachman, because it's just a light-skinned bald guy. Go figure. And then he calls Phillips JBL, and he goes on with that. And that's pretty funny. During this whatever shit match this is, Truth puts on King Barrett's cloak, and he puts on his crown. And it's basically all a distraction. I think Jack Swagger gets like some offense from that distraction on the outside when Wade Barrett kind of confronts R-Truth about having his shit on. But it leads to a bull hammer to Jack Swagger. He goes. It looked pretty vicious, and he goes down for the pin. And again, this sets up for the match between R-Truth and King Barrett. I see in my prediction, I have King Barrett going over because R-Truth's just been beating him, and it's time for King Barrett to get a win. I mean, his momentum's been at a dead halt for a while, and now it's time for him to actually pick back up, at least get 2 or 3 wins under his belt before they shit on him again. I'm not sure how long this King Barrett, how long does the King gimmick stays on a person? Is there like, do they, if you know, tell me, is it like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? When do they just abandon it? I don't know. Backstage, you have Paige walking chilling, and then Alicia Fox just kind of steps up to her and just talks shit to her about like, look, you don't speak for me, bitch. You want to change some shit, bitch? I want to change some shit too. If you want to change something, change me. Whatever. I see you out, and I'm gonna whoop your ass. We also get like a WWE.com exclusive interview. They show parts of the Lana with Michael Cole, and they're talking about Dolph Ziggler. And then Rusev shows up. I don't know. I don't care what anyone says. I love this Rusev. I thought this was going to be the shits. Him having his ankle injury or whatever. But like the creepy, obsessed ex-boyfriend, Rusev, is fucking funny to me. It's not going to amount to anything. And I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever. I'm not a big fan of it. But I like this Rusev. This creepy. He just kind of rolls up on her on the... with crutches. He made her hurt her ankle on Raw, and then he's at this interview. He just kind of rolls up into the interview with his crutches. It's just so creepy. I actually, once you think about it, it's just so it just looks believable for him to actually be like this big, crazy, obsessed motherfucker. If you were to bring up War Machine, not War Machine like the wrestler, but War Machine, the wrestlers, but like War Machine like the MMA fighter who beat the shit out of this porn star. Now he's in jail, but like, the dude had a loose screw, and it led to him basically Christy Mack, I think her name is, and just beat the living shit out of her. I mean, just fucked her up. And I see Rusev in character to have sort of that same potential to fucking snap on Lana at some point because it's so fucking creepy. But he pleads his case to Lana, and then Lana just flats out says it's over, and Rusev on crutches is still a scary guy, and he turns to Michael Cole, like, what are you doing asking these questions? It's your fault. And then Michael Cole's like, I ain't got time for this. He fucking bongos the fuck out of there, and he somewhat destroys the set with his crutches. We get Dolph Ziggler in Harley Davidson trucks. Now, I don't know how like that played out with the Harley Davidson brand to see this guy using their emblem as a means to promote a wrestler on their buttocks. It looked cool, but I wonder, I've never seen those trunks before. If you've seen them, just let me know in the comments below, or send me a tweet. But he faces Rollins. And actually, you would think the likes of these two wrestlers, you would probably get like a match where you get some spots, like more than the average spots. But actually, this is more of a ground and pound match. Not a lot of like speed, not a lot of rope, anything. I mean, Rollins has control about the same, takes control of the match, the entire match almost, with a flurry of offense from Ziggler every once in a while. But it was like watching Seth Rollins was out there looking like Arn Anderson. There's probably one of the bigger spots was a slingshot into the timekeeper's box. Seth Rollins catches Dolph Ziggler, and he slingshots him over in the timekeeper's area. But after that, it gets exciting, where it's just reverse after reverse after reverse after reverse after reverse. Dolph hits the Famouser, and I'm like, why do I get excited with a Famouser's hit for the pin? No one never stays down for it ever. I mean, I think it's just a waste of a move now. I mean, I guess it builds drama to a certain extent, but until someone just lays down for it, he needs to just leave it alone. But again, reversal. Rollins gets the pin with a roll up and a handful of tights. Not necessarily a strong victory, but it looks like the fact that it was a roll up with a handful of tights probably will say that this isn't finished between the two of them, and we'll see in the next couple of weeks. Again, you got Rollins versus Ambrose. You got Ziggler as one of the participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match. We got Alicia Paige. We got Paige versus Alicia Fox. The only thing that stands out about this match is that it went long. Hashtag give Divas a chance. My hashtag is hashtag give me a reason to give the Divas a chance, because the WWE creative has set up to where the drama has gone. I mean, there's no drama with the women's division whatsoever. Naomi's gone. Not sure what the fuck happened to Tamina. The two of them just vanished. And then you got Paige, and then you got the Bella Twins, who are pseudo heels, and there's no drama whatsoever. We all know that. Well, we don't all know, but what I can understand is that the belt is going to be on Nikki Bella for a while, which is going to even take away more stakes and more drama and more everything that would actually make the Divas division a very good division, but it's crap. So they're going to keep that belt on Nikki Bella to sort of beat AJ Lee's longest Divas title run. And it's just, until then, just put the Divas division on snooze until that's over. And then what happens with the NXT girls, we don't know. I think it's funny. Paige makes a point to say that the Bella Twins basically has the Divas division hostage, and it couldn't be truer. Especially knowing this, that she's gonna hold this belt for this long and basically hold everyone down for the next 200 fucking days. It's weird. So I don't see any NXT girls coming up anytime soon, and if so, it'd be like that 200 day to either bring up Sasha Banks or Charlotte Flair to finally lift that belt off of Nikki Bella. But this match goes long. Paige wins with the PTO. She didn't eat her Wheaties. She didn't get her deer antler. She didn't juice up before. She wasn't hanging out with Barry Bonds or nothing. Because when she tries to get her up, and maybe, just maybe, Alicia Fox is just a little heavier than she thought, but she put her up in the PTO, but she kind of falls. She kind of sits down, which leads to, the tap out. And she gets the victory again. We got Paige versus Nikki Bella for the belt at Money in the Bank. Again, my prediction is Nikki for the next 200 days. Whatever. You get the primetime players in the back with Renee Young. They basically shit on a New Day, and they just do their whole shtick of just saying stuff. Darren Young, I think there's a point where I think Titus O'Neil makes a comment like, you could officially call this our coming out party. And then Darren Young goes, wait a minute, man, my coming out party was last year to bring up the fact that he's gay and that he came out of the closet last summer, and yeah, we're proud of that, be proud of that, blah blah blah. And the payoff was basically, after we beat New Day, we're gonna have a new clap after that annoying clap, primetime players. And then you got hot ass Renee Young in the middle, two brothers, kind of clapping along and dancing, and that's the payoff to see Renee Young's hot piece of ass be so adorably cute. Oh, she's hot. Well, anyway, we get to the main event, and my God, you talk about a shit ton. It's a 6-man 3-on-3. I'm surprised it was like a 6-man, a 12-man fatal 4-way fucking tag team match for the number one contendership. I'm surprised it wasn't, but I digress. You get 6-man tag, and basically it's all the contestants of all but one except Ziggler, because Ziggler was in an earlier match with Rollins, but it's 6-man tags. Reigns, Neville, and Orton as the baby faces, and Kofi, Sheamus, and Kane are as the heels. 6-man tag featuring the Money in the Bank participants. All the faces get their intros. Sheamus is the only heel that gets his intro. But even when they came back from break, you had Kane kind of standing in front of the New Day as they're getting them to trying to get Kane to clap New Day rocks. And Kane just has this, man, what the fuck? Get these Negroes out of my face. I have nobody has time for this. Just to look at his face. When he does that, like he has his moments where he just looks like he just wants no part of some shit. Like when he passes by Adam Rose and Rosa Mendez in the back maybe like 3 weeks ago making out. He just kind of walks by. It's like, what the fuck? But this is the same look here. It's pretty funny. But Sheamus gets his intro. During the match, which is a pretty decent match, I guess. Reigns does a lockup. He actually locks up with Kofi Kingston at the beginning. And I'm like, oh shit. Revelations. But during the match when they're commentating and they're talking about Neville, they repeatedly call him a flying mouse. And I don't know if this is a jab at the dirt sheets when it got out that they were going to try to push Neville as sort of like this Mighty Mouse figure. And it's still sort of there, but they're focusing. They can't help themselves but to focus on his ears. Why? Like, what are you doing? Okay, you got this guy, like the sensational, the man that gravity forgot, and like he's getting a big. People are loving him. Again, when they put him up against the Big Show, that's going to be really cool. But like the flying mouse, and then there's a shot, and it's shot straight in his face, and basically it's a shot to see his ears, and I go like, they just can't fucking help themselves. God damn it, WWE, just cannot fucking help yourselves, can you? Well, anyway, when Orton and Sheamus got into the match, I immediately got sleepy. Like subconsciously, I just went, oh man, get those fuckers out. I was like, get out of the ring. Get those two out of the ring. I mean, put someone in. Hey, put Reigns in there with Sheamus and put fucking Kofi in there with Orton. Just get those two the fuck away from each other. Please. You want to fucking send someone to sleep? Just have those bitches within 5 feet of each other. Jesus Christ. I don't get it. But seriously, I subconsciously got tired. I just got tired. Reigns gets a hot tag, and then all hell breaks loose. He takes out the New Day, who tries to get involved. And then, Kane comes in, choke slams Reigns. Kane catches an RKO by Orton. Orton catches a brogue kick from Sheamus. Sheamus catches a missile drop kick by Neville, which I'm like, man, out of all the finishers, man, like, damn, Neville definitely got the ass end of the deal. I wish if that was the case, was it? Who would it have been? It would have been Orton, I guess. It would have been somebody, but either way, I mean, it'd been cool if he would have caught the red arrow, did the red arrow as his crazy spot at that moment on somebody who just got jacked. Well, anyway. No, fuck that. Neville needs a fucking move outside of the red arrow. He needs a move. He needs some sort of crazy finisher, like semi-finisher move. During the match that could be a pin, just like, the Famouser or like Winds of Change, things that used to be finishers that are now getting kicked out of left and right. He needs something like that. And that would actually been like more of a contribution to this spot than a missile drop kick from the top rope. Really? Well, anyway. And then Trouble in Paradise by Kofi onto Neville gets him real good. And then Reigns gets back up and hits a Superman punch on Kofi, basically imitating what had happened on Raw, where their match, Kofi Kingston comes off the top rope and he gets met with a Superman punch. They do this again here, but when Reigns goes for the pin, Woods and Big E comes in and stomps a mud hole, beats the living crap out of Roman Reigns. While they're fucking beating down Roman Reigns, Kofi Kingston legitimately looks like he caught a fucking Superman punch. I mean, that was a great sell. I'm just like, is he really hurt? Or is that like a fucking LeBron James sell? You think he ran into a camera or something? But he looks fucked. Something else I wanted to say. Kofi's been getting a lot of fucking attention recently. You know, he's also going up against Brock Lesnar in Japan. I guess to prepare Brock Lesnar for his match against Rollins. He has to face someone within that size, and I think Kofi Kingston is probably he's as agile and about the same size, about the same weight, and that's what it is. Get him in the ring with someone like Kofi Kingston to face Rollins when SummerSlam comes around. But Kofi's been getting a lot of attention. I'm listening to Cheap Heat, and they brought up like a really good point that he is the dark horse. No pun intended. Dark being black, whatever. You get over it. Shut up. He's literally the dark horse of the Money in the Bank ladder match. He's been in it 7 times. He's been featured, and plus a heel has to win this. A heel always has to win the Money in the Bank at some point. Cena won it, but I consider him a heel. It's just as much as a fucking heel as Sheamus. My predictions, I have Sheamus winning, right? What was before this? Oh yeah, speaking of which, I have the New Day retaining against the Primetime Players. But Kofi, it's something about Kofi. Listen to Cheap Heat, and they were saying like they've been giving him a lot of featuring. He's been in a ladder match 7 times. He's a bona fide veteran. Like he's as much of a veteran than Randy Orton. I mean and the dynamic with the New Day is pretty interesting, where it can make for really good writing if he does win. I don't have him winning, I have Sheamus winning, but if I was to make a second choice, I would pick Kofi. Kofi would definitely, and the whole New Day thing and what they have going, it would work. I mean, you can have a lot of fun with this, and this is what the WWE needs. People don't even say WWE sometimes. Sometimes they just say WWE. This could be very interesting. Again, I see Sheamus pulling it out, but if they did give it to Kofi Kingston, that would be awesome. And what happens at the end of the show, outside of the craziness that happened, after the hot tag for Reigns, but when they wake up Kofi Kingston, they grab a ladder and then they get the ladder in the ring and they kind of help Kofi up to go get the Money in the Bank. Again, this New Day dynamic, it makes things really fucking interesting. But what happened when this happens should have happened on Raw for the Go Home show, because a lot of people aren't watching SmackDown, and this needed to happen on Raw. They made it they put everyone in individual matches on Raw. I was like, fuck that. They should have did a whole melee to sort of give everyone an impression what's going to happen in the Money in the Bank. They do it here. And after the New Day grabs the ladder and get Kofi over, Dolph Ziggler runs out, and he runs out with the ladder, and he joins in the fray, and fucking Neville grabs the ladder. Everyone's outside fucking beating each other to smithereens. He grabs the ladder, gets in the ring, he climbs the top of the ladder, does a big splash onto everyone. And everyone's laid out. Big, good looking spot. On Raw, place would have went nuts. And then he gets up, gets back into the ring, climbs up the ladder, and pulls down the Money in the Bank briefcase. And that's how SmackDown ends. Again, a way better show, way better ending. That's how Monday's Go Home show should have been, rather than this shit sandwich. A good opening, a good ending, and then the middle was just painful. Again, literally dozing off, folding clothes. I was like, fuck this shit. But this was a really good show. I'm glad I got to watch it. And that next up, we got the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Yeah, I told you my predictions, but if you want to hear Jake's predictions, make sure you go back one video. Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling episode 42, part 2, Money in the Bank predictions. We discuss and talk about our predictions. So yeah, is there anything else? No. Again, Ellen Japanese, PJTW, Twitter, PJTWCentral.com. Hit the subscribe button. Comment, share, like, dislike if you like. Leave a comment, share. Thumbs up, Stitcher Radio, any and everything helps. Moving what we got going here forward. I'm looking at some new options. I've been recording with my phone recently, and I want to change the format up a little bit within the next after SummerSlam. SummerSlam will be a full year of the Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling podcast, and after that, the Peter and Jake before has been audio, and I've been experimenting with video, but after that, everything is going to be video. You'll be able to get everything on audio, but you'll also be able to get the visual on YouTube. So I'm looking at cameras and microphones, and hopefully I can have a setup to where going into SummerSlam, you get something fresh and something new, and maybe they help with views, because it's going to look more professional. Again, this is all, only 42 weeks of doing this. I'm pretty proud of the progress of what I've done. Just a guy who likes wrestling, and getting 50 views, 20 views, 5 views, 7 views. I hope after this year we'll pick it up. We're gonna give you a whole new aesthetic and another reason to subscribe. Is there anything else? Nah, I think that's about it. Again, help us out, and I will see you. Oh yes, yeah. I will have a live reaction video up. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a full on, like an hour or so. Just maybe pick out one that stands out the most in terms of reaction, and then post it up. The last one, the Cena versus Owens reaction, is up to 600. I'm pretty happy about that. Let's keep it moving. But other than that, we'll see you for the reaction video, the Raw recap, and next week's review of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view network special event and Raw. So until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend.